Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Monster Hunter Tri. Captain Vulgarity here, and today we're demoing a new weapon against some creatures we've already kind of, sort of, maybe seen before. The Ludroth, those big green lizards, iguana things. So apparently some guy got fired because, I don't know, a monster about twice his size just beat the shit out of him. Go figure. You'd never think that would happen, but, you know, it did. Oh well, sucks for him. So, yeah. Today we're demoing the Sword and Shield because I feel like demoing the Sword and Shield in the Ludroth. Besides, I'm gonna need the practice because I've already received a challenge from somebody for our first big monster hunt. So that should be pretty interesting. So yeah, we're going out. The Ludroth are waiting up in Area 10, so we gotta head back there. Hooray. And now I'm not using the regular hunter's knife that, you know, that you brought into the game. That basically was equipped on your character as stock, quote-unquote. I've already upgraded it to the Hunter's Dagger, which is still not that great. The Sword and Shield really isn't the most powerful weapon in Monster Hunter. It is versatile and fun to use, though. See that third guy? He's a badass and you don't want to mess with him. Don't ever mess with that guy. He will knock the shit out of you. What do you do? Oh, okay, whatever. So yeah, talking about sword and shield mechanics. Ooh, damn. These guys do pack a wall off. I'm getting the shit kicked out of me. So yeah, the Sword and Shield is a lot faster than the Great Sword. You're able to land a lot more hits, like in one period, in a small period of time. But it doesn't actually, like, based on my experience, it doesn't actually do as much damage as it could. You use the Y button. Normally, you can use the Y button to like when you're holding R and running up, you can use the Y button to do a sort of jump attack. You know, like Link and Ocarina of Time and stuff like that. You jump attack the monsters, and you can just spam the Y button to do some kind of combo. But I like to mix it up a little bit, especially considering when you're online and playing with other characters, with other people, you could, like, the final attack in the pure Y button combo, quote-unquote, is liable to knock people over. And when you're the Sword and Shield, you never, ever want to interfere with any of the power weapons. Like, if you knock them around when they're trying to make a hit, that's just gonna annoy people, because your weapon, like I said, it's versatile, and I think it's fun to use. I like the Sword and Shield, but it's it's almost useless. Well, not useless, but it's definitely not that powerful. Something interesting to note, you can stab these little fish that swim around in schools here, and you can get big fins from them, which are useful for certain bone weapons. And you can also get fucking dash extract! Those of you who haven't played the game before, you don't know how great dash extract is. Normally, you'd think you could only get it from a certain boss monster later in the game. Nope, you can get it from little bitty fish in Moga Woods. And you can combine... Dash extract you can use to combine into a very powerful stamina item. And that right there. When you hold forward and press B, you sort of do that blunt strike with the shield, and if you hit the monster in the head with it, you'll do collateral damage, which builds up to stun the monster, which will immobilize it and incapacitate it for a bit. That's kind of useful when you're dealing. So you know, if you're dealing with a lot of monsters at once, it's typically not a bad idea to just stun them to keep them out of your way, especially if it's like Ranulflos. Oops, spoiler alert, I just said Ranulflos. Oh, god. Damn, I hate those things. You will too if you play the game. So yeah, notice how much faster hunting quests go as compared to gathering quests? Yeah, go figure. Your job's a lot easier once you get past the preliminary stages. Now typically, I'm going to talk about something. Typically, the sword and shield combo that I use the most is tapping Y 3 times, then I tap B twice to do the sort of side swipe and then overhead swipe, and then I tap plus to end the combo for that little spin around hit that does the, which is apparently the most powerful sword and shield attack. You know, not that forward lunging strike that knocks everybody back. So that kind of so if you practice that combo and get it down and use it online, you won't piss people off if you're a sword and shield. But yeah, sword and shield has no right to I'm sorry, sword and shield has no right to kind of argue for importance unless maybe you're statting. But even then, you could just gun. So yeah, apparently it's a goddamn party happening here now that we got a ship that shows up, but let's ignore all these people and go to the farm. You know, little cutscenes like this, they're a pain in the ass to LP, let me tell you, because I kept walking back to the farm to try and pick something up, and that happened, and I'm like, oh fuck, now I gotta quit the game, and I gotta come back in and do whatever the fuck I did before I saved at my bed. Ugh, so annoying. So the old man's really nice and he gives us a lot of bomb casing, which I'm so grateful for. But, you know, it's not that much. So I'm still going to be extremely conservative with bombs till we get to something later on. So I'm just going to grow some Excite-Rooms just so I have them for later, because I'm going to want them for a certain item, which will make traveling a lot easier. So now let's walk up and talk to the chief. So yeah, apparently this bumfuck little village in the middle of nowhere actually has connections with a famous trade ship, and that trade ship has just docked in town. And the village chief knows the motherfucker who, that Asian guy. Asian elf something or other. Seriously, no one else has ears like that. So anyway, now we get into trading. Trading basically works like this. You go under make an offer, you put down some pieces, you put down some commodities that you think are useful and that you won't need for something else, like fossil pieces and curved fangs. And you gain a specific amount of trade value. Then you can trade those in for certain goods, like you know, those, which he has. And yeah. Naturally, if you go over the trade value, if you go over your own trade value in looking for stuff from him, you won't be able to make a deal. But if you keep it slightly, if you keep it just at or slightly under his, or way under his for whatever reason, you'll strike a deal. So that means the captain of the Argosy always makes a profit, and he's constantly fucking you over with non-equal deals. That's why he drives a big ship, and you run around having to kill monsters in cheap-ass leather gear. But it gets better. Trust me. Once you get into the real monster armors, nice. That feline right there with the sword on his back, you know, I'm not gonna bother. Like, if you want to read the dialogue yourself, you can pause the video, but otherwise I'm just gonna give you the shorthand explanation. That feline is a cook, but he can't stand being on the sea, so he's gonna stay in the village to cook for us. You know, so he's not vomiting up all his great gourmet food.
Hey.
Also, he's French. Yeah. So, try imagining a cat with a French accent. It's kind of yeah. He's like if Puss in Boots was French and had a little more class. I'm kidding. Puss in Boots is fine. Alright, now we're getting into something relatively important. Charms, or talismans, quote-unquote. These are basically... The charms, quote-unquote, are talismans that you acquire randomly throughout certain quests in the game. Whether it's via mining or quest rewards. And they give you specific skills, or give you points towards specific skills that you can build into a set. Now, if you don't get what I'm talking about, don't worry. We'll get into it later when we actually start talking about decorations. But I'm saving that for when the Wyverian Artisan starts talking about them. So yeah, I finally got some mega pickaxe, some nice mega pickaxes, and some mega bug nets, and those are gonna be so useful. So incredibly useful. Now I realize this is kind of boring, you know, commentary. This is kind of boring, you know, from a video watching perspective, but it's, you know, there's a lot going on in the beginning of the game before we start hunting those monsters. So yeah, I'm just showing off how you decorate your room there. You start off with one little decoration, but it's not that impressive. You'll get more later on in the game as you start doing rare trades with the Argosy. But that won't be for a little bit. So yeah, apparently when the Argosy's in town, everything you want to buy is half off. So go nuts, go to town. Kind of looking at some things that might be important later on. Yeah, trap tools. Definitely gonna need those when I start getting into bigger quests. Like I said, the game's kind of slow at the start. It doesn't really kick up into the action until you get past the preliminary training stages. So we've acquired a new area to go to. Basically, it's called the Sandy Plains, but I call it the desert. That's basically what it is. And we now have access to 2-star quests, as well as our first big monster hunt, which is a great Jaggy. Now, somebody actually challenged me to take on a great Jaggy, basically with my current set, with the Hunter's Knife plus... No, not plus, just the Hunter's Knife and leather gear. Not upgraded. If anybody has any other suggestions, go ahead and make them, but otherwise I'm going to go ahead and go with that one. So yeah, that's about it for today's episode. Next time, kind of short on time. I've had a lot going on lately, you know, job hunting, school, and work. It's a little tough, but whatever. Well, next time we'll be getting into some more interesting quests, I promise. So, till then, stay tuned, folks. Later.